Hey guys, MD Prepper here, yet another review, this time on reloading on the cheap. We are talking about reloading your ammunition on your own, just when you want to, just because it's fun and cheap and relatively cost worthy, though you have to expend the time on it. This is the absolute cheapest you're going to be able to reload anything for the price. The central part of this is the Lee Reloader hand reloading kit here, which you can get various places. I recommend Natchez Shooting Supplies. You can get the reloaders for just a little less than $20 a piece in whatever type caliber you want. I started out with this one, have several others. This one's in 38 caliber, 38 special that is. I also have them in 45 ACP, 223, 45 long Colt, and a few others. If you're going to start reloading on the cheap, especially with the hand loaders, I highly recommend you start with a straight cased type cartridge like the 38 357, something like that. There's a lot less know-how involved in those, and a little higher tolerance for mishaps in a revolver than if you're shooting out of a semi-auto, 45 auto, something like that, 223. I've got this broken down overall based on 1,000 rounds fired or reloaded, which is the easiest mathematics to do with this sort of thing. We're going to go over the parts and pieces of this whole kit here in a minute. The first couple things that I do not include in the overall cost is the Lee Reloader at $20 a piece, assuming you reload this thing and reload thousands and thousands of rounds. This $20 cost is going to be negligible. If you want to throw that into the cost, that's fine. I'll give you here the stats shortly. And a rubber mallet is absolutely a must for this. I think I got this at Lowe's for $8-9. With the general reloading purposes and all, this little mallet will last you tens of thousands of rounds, if not a lifetime. This does the job. This is a Vaughn brand. You can see it right there. Rubber mallet, again, $8, maybe $9, can't remember. We're going to forget about that cost, but we're going to talk about the basics here. I'm also going to assume that you have plenty of rifle or pistol brass for your reloading purposes. I've been saving 38 specials for years and years and years, even before I reloaded. I would give them away to friends who did reload and, give them 500 rounds and expect 100 rounds loaded back just for giving them the free brass. That's worked very, very well over the years. Highly recommend you always save your brass, especially as long as that is primed properly for reloading. Even if you don't reload, you can give these to your friends. They'll thank you for it. I know many a brass vulture out there that just jumps at the chance to get my brass if I have it to offer, and they'll be happy to give me some reloads back just to pay for things, just to make things reasonable. Okay, we're going to get into the reloader here in a second. Let's go over the other core components. First of all, powder. Gotta have gunpowder, obviously, to reload your ammo. For the 38 special, I've got Universal Clays here. This has multi-purpose options. It will reload your standard 115 grain 9mm Luger, your 38 specials in 125 grain, specifically for the XTP Hornady rounds, which is what I will be using here in a minute. We'll also do your standard 185 grain 45 ACPs, as well as some of your 20 and 28 gauge shotgun shells. This will run you, at least me, $23 total at my local gun show, no tax included. Now, let me say that a full pound of powder is 7,000 grains. That's just the standard calculation. Not entirely sure how that's done, but with your 38 special rounds, you need, at least for this type powder, you need 4.6 grains per round. So, if you do the math, total, assuming you don't lose any powder through dropping it or spilling it, whatnot, this 1 pound of powder at $23 is going to reload 1,521 rounds. That's 1,521 rounds. Let's discount the 21 extra rounds there. Let's just say we spill some stuff as we go. That's 1,500 rounds of 38 special for $23. And again, we're going to sum all this to 1,000 rounds. That's about $15 worth of powder for 1,000 rounds, okay? Again, we're doing everything in 1,000 rounds just because that makes the math a heck of a lot easier. Next, you're going to need primers. These are Magtech small pistol primers. Most pistol primers and all that come in 1,000 round packs. A 1,000 round pack of these type of primers, did not put the entire box out here because didn't see the purpose, is going to run you about $40 once you purchased it. I would recommend buying these at your local gun store, gun dealer, reloading supply store, that sort of thing. As if you order them online, you're going to have to pay a hazmat fee, which is going to cost you a ridiculous amount compared to the price of the primers or the powder. Better off just buy it local unless you're buying in ridiculously large bulk. So again, 1,000 round of these, about $40. Now, you may say, well, I may screw up and ignite the primers when I'm loading some of these. Yeah, you may. But again, this is best case scenario. 1,000 rounds, $40. Next, you got to have bullets if you're reloading ammunition. Not very good just with the case and the powder. One of the cheapest, easiest, and frankly the most reasonable ones you want to fire are the Hornady XTPs. There you go. Don't know if you can see that right there. These are 125 grain XTP defensive bullets. Fully jacketed, hollow point. This is what you'd want to shoot for defensive purposes, and this is what you want to shoot for target practice. Frankly, one box of 100 rounds is going to run you about $14.79 at Natchez Shooting Supplies. Throw in a little bit of shipping. Again, order in bulk is going to cost you less. You can buy these for a lot cheaper if you do just cast lead bullets or if you cast your own lead. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about jacketed rounds. My local indoor range only allows jacketed rounds, no exposed lead, that sort of thing. So these do the job, and they do them for cheap. You can't get much cheaper than $14.79 for 100 bullets. So of course, at a 1,000 round bullet cost that we're going for, that's $147.90 for 1,000 rounds of these bullets. Now, let's get down to the Lee Reloader. This is the most important part. This is slow, it's tedious, no, it's not as good as a bullet press, but hey, gets the job done. You come with a little kit here, instruction manual on how to reload by hand, and of course, more importantly, you come with bullet link specs and all of your reloading data that you're going to need. First off, this is a unloaded primer here, that bullet rather, that's the primer in that I just happened to pick out for this examination here. First thing you got to do, you take your little bullet seat here, you put your bullet in, you take your depriming tool, basically a punch, put it in there, and pop out the primer. Now there's no primer there, so I'm not going to hit that, but very easy to do. Once the primer's out, your round is good. You do this as many times as you need to with the rounds you're reloading. Make sure you lift this up and take the primers out. Good to go. Next off, you need to make sure you've got your opening end of the bullet open, clear, and ready to go. You give a little slight tap. There you go. Just to make sure it's open enough to seat the bullet properly. Next, you need to prime the round. This is relatively easy. You got the priming tool. You take a primer, and you set it in this other little option here, the priming tool. If you can see there, there's a little washer, if you will. That's not quite what it is. In the center, which is going to isolate the primer so that when you hit down on it, it's not going to go off in your face and explode. So you put it here. I'm not going to do it, but basically this sits all the way down with a little bit of lube there. And you set your primer in the base, put your priming tool in, whack it a time or two, just see it real well. Pull it out. There you go. It's primed. Now, you obviously keep this right here. You take your little powder measure, which is perfectly measured for most of your standard loads, including this universal load, universal clays, and take a scoop out of this, Make sure it's leveled off the top. Dump it into the top of the little die here with your rounded side. And now all of a sudden you loaded it with powder. Now after that's done, you got to make sure you get your bullet. You take it out of your pack here. Take your little loader here, put it in the top. Again, this is on top of this little set so that your primer does not go off. And once you've got this seated properly, it can be adjusted for whatever length of bullets you've got. Once you've got it right, you tap it once or twice, not even all that hard, and your bullet's seated. It's a little more complicated if you've got something that's not just a straight lined revolver type round, but works just fine for revolvers. If you over penetrate, you may need a bullet remover type kit, run you 10, 15 bucks. Didn't show that here. Don't really need it. But anyway, it's easy enough. It takes a little time. A lot of your standard reloaders will say that takes entirely too long. Hey, 20 bucks plus your other gear, it's well worth it. Overall, the total math on this, for 1,000 rounds of .38 Special, again, assuming you have the brass and not including the cost of this or the mallet, because I'm assuming you're going to use both of these for years and years and years to come, and so that price is going to drop to nothing. But for all of your powder, bullets, primers, etc., it's going to run you $202.90 for 1,000 rounds. That's 20 boxes of ammunition, basically at $10.15 per box for reloads. Again, assuming you have brass and all that basic stuff you should already have anyway. So $10.15 for a box of .38 Specials loaded with Hornady XTP, defensive ammo, hollow points. Hey, can't beat that. Would I carry that for defensive purposes? Only in the zombie apocalypse, and that's all I've got. But just for target practice, you can't beat it. Around here locally, even the cheapest reloads you can find for .38 Special are about $15 plus a piece. Anywhere between $15 and $17 for .38 Special. A lot of times that's even with your cheap little lead-only cast bullets on the end, which my range does not allow. Even at my range, they're about $15 to $16 per box for around for a box of 50. So $10.15 a box is, you know, considerable savings. I like this a lot. I've got one for my .45 Long Colt that I use for reloading my Taurus Judge. I've got them for .45 ACP. A few other straight line cartridges. They all run about 20 bucks a piece. Just got to make sure you've got the primers and the cartridge powder for them. Highly recommend this on the cheap, especially if you're going to reload a lot. I think it's highly relaxing when I sit around in the evening and just sit there and reload. MD Prepper out. Thanks, guys. Bye.